right. Check, check. Hey, 1, 2. Check, check. Cool.
forgot. Oh God, now it's on. So, wow, sorry. It's the mask and the stairs combo. Um, so we are delighted that we are still here. And I'm delighted that all of you are here. We've been able to keep going, which is incredible. And, we have this beautiful hall, and we can still do this, and it's exciting, and I feel that it's safe. And thank you so much for wearing your masks and, keeping your distance. You guys are great. Still catching my breath. um, So we have a lot of stuff coming up, actually. December 5th, we have the Caleb Nye Trio Holiday Show. Does anybody know Caleb Nye? He's a local jazz piano player. He's really good. The trio is fantastic. And our board member, Barb Williams, is sponsoring it. So, a lot of why we can keep going is because we have sponsors. We have artists that are actually donating their time and talent, which is phenomenal. We have you guys, buying tickets and still coming out. Thank you so much for supporting live music. Give yourselves a hand because that's really important. So after Caleb Nye, we have Marika Bornacki, who is a really amazing classical pianist. There's actually a documentary about her, and it's called I Am Not a Rock Star. And it is her many years ago. She was a child prodigy. And this sort of just is a documentary about a child prodigy, and it's really quite good. Juliana McDowell, who's a beautiful local singer-songwriter. She's coming Saturday, January 23rd. Amy Curl and Danny Nicely, they are the other half of Furnace Mountain. I am a fourth of Furnace Mountain. They're lovely humans and wonderful musicians. That's going to be a great show. And I think we are not quite sold out, but we're well on our way. Now, mind you, selling out is 30 people, so we are live streaming tonight. So hello, everybody out there on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. So tonight, this is so exciting. I'm so glad to have this guy here. He is a dear old friend, for one. He's an amazing musician. I think I met him when he was just starting to play fiddle, maybe 16, 17 years ago. And much to the chagrin of all the great fiddle players around, he was as good as any fiddle player who had been playing for many, many years. And he was just learning and getting fast at an alarming rate. He's a great musician, a great person. He was with Old Crow Medicine Show. Do you guys know Old Crow? It's a Grammy award-winning band that has had great success, and we're delighted to have him here tonight. So make him feel welcome, Chance McCoy.
I'll go down to the river, bring my rocking chair. If the blues overtake me, I'll rock away from there. 'Cause it's boats up the river, but they won't come down. I believe to my soul Now the river was whiskey, Lord, and I was a duck. Lord, I dive to the bottom, and I never come up. 'Cause this boat's up the river, but they won't come down. I believe to my soul, Lord, I'm water bound. Now go down to the river, and I'll sit right down. If the blues overtake me, jump in the river and drown. 'Cause this boat's up the river, but they won't come down. I believe to my soul, Lord, I'm water bound. I believe to my soul, yeah, that I'm water bound. Yeah, I'll go down to the river, and I'll sit right down. If them blues overtake me, jump in the river and drown. 'Cause this boat's up the river, but they won't come down. I believe to my soul, Lord, I'm water bound. I believe to my soul, Lord, I'm water bound. I believe to my soul, Lord, I'm water bound. Oh, thank you so much. I love how easy it is to sell out a show nowadays. People complaining about coronavirus, but I'm all for it, man. Whoa. What's happening back there? These instruments, they have a mind of their own. Well, it's an honor to be here. This is an incredible space to play in. I actually played my last solo show before I joined Old Crow here in March of 2012. Yeah, it was really cool. It was a much better show because I knew what I was doing as a solo artist back then. And then I went on tour with a band with a bunch of pyrotechnics and flashing lights, people playing fiddle doing head kicks. You didn't have to be that good at music. It was just more about looking cool. Of course, in a place like Barnes, you have to be good at music. I don't think the head kicks would go over so well here. There is a mini explosive behind me ready to flash some sparks out, though, during one of my future solos. Got a little... Hear that, Nathan? Got a little rang. Well, I grew up in this area over in Harper's Ferry, and I used to have this shed behind my house, It was like the old carriage house to our house in Harper's Ferry, and my dad converted it with me when I was about 12 years old into like a little bit of living space. We threw a new roof on it and put a floor down, and that's where I hung out through my teenage years and did drugs. So thanks, Dad, for giving me a safe place. But I grew up playing music, but I didn't have any friends that really played music. And I was really excited when I got a little bit older and I could drive around to meet some of the musicians that lived in this area. And it was incredible. I got to learn so much from Morgan and Fiddlin' Dave and Danny and Amy and all of these other incredible musicians that lived in this area. It was just really neat. I remember driving over to Berryville when Morgan and Dave lived down on the river near Watermelon Park, and hanging out with them and playing tunes, and got to learn some incredible music. So I thought I'd revisit some of the songs I picked up back in those days. Including this next one. This one's called Say Darlin' Say. You might recognize it. It's got some verses like that every American will recognize. Say, little darling, would you marry me? We live over yonder in that old oak tree. Say, darling, say, an old oak tree we'd make our home, never more this world to roam. Won't you say, darling, say? Okay, just like a disclaimer here, since this is a folk song, some really horrible stuff in it, including this next marriage proposal. So I just want you to know that I don't endorse this view, but I'm gonna sing the verse anyways. Say, little Dawn, if you be mine, you wouldn't do nothing but start your night. Say, darling, say, start your night will be your trade, and I'd get drunk and lay in the shade. Won't you say, darling, say? Probably recognize this one. Hush, little baby, don't say a word, 'cause Papa's gonna buy you a mockingbird. Say, darling, say, and if that mockingbird don't sing, well, Papa's gonna buy you a diamond ring. Won't you say, darling, say? And if that diamond ring turns to brass, Papa's gonna buy you a looking glass. Say, darling, say, and if that looking glass gets broke, well, Papa's gonna buy you a billy goat. Say, darling, say. And if that billy goat won't pull, well, Papa's gonna buy you a cart and bull. Say, darling, say, and if that cart and bull falls down, still the only rich baby in town. Won't you say, darling, say? Say, little Don, if you marry me, we live over yonder in an old oak tree. Say, darling, say, an old oak tree we'd make our home, never more this world to roam. Won't you say, darling, say? Whoever wrote that song was so romantic. Or just a straight up truth teller. One or the other. All right, I think I'm ready to shed a layer. I decided I'm going to go with the new fad amongst white musicians, which is to wear just all technical outdoor gear. Following Justin Timberlake's lead on that. He suddenly discovered he was white again and that he liked North Face. Don't worry, Morgan, we're not going to go too far out here on the live stream. So I remember when I met Danny Nicely. He's living in Waterford, Virginia, and that's kind of how eventually how I ended up meeting Morgan. And I started going to Danny for guitar lessons because I was interested in folk music and bluegrass and old time. And the only thing I had up to that point was a Tony Rice tablature book. I was like trying to learn bluegrass licks out of this book. I went over to Danny's house, and he just totally blew my mind. And I was telling him about how I wanted to learn this folk music, and he said, well, have you ever been to a fiddler's convention before? And I was like, what's that? Is that like a gun convention where you go and like buy illegal fiddles for real cheap? He's like, no. He's like, no, it's where everybody gets together, they camp out. There's not really any bands on a stage except for like the little contest part, but everybody just comes and camps out and plays music together, and that's where you can learn a lot of this traditional music. So for many, many summers in a row, I'd take a couple weeks off during the summer, and I would drive to fiddle conventions, and one of the ones that I went to was Galax, Virginia. I don't know if you've ever heard about Galax, Virginia Fiddlers Convention. Yeah. That is a good time, man. I tell you what. If you want to go have a good time, just go down to the Galax Fiddlers Convention. I remember the first year I was there, I had this old like 1979 F1 pickup truck, and when I bought it, it had a tree growing out of the back of it. So somebody like moved some mulch, and there must have been a seedling, and it grew up over 7 or 8 years in the back. So after I got rid of that sapling, it was like a sumac or something. Yeah, those grow so quick. I put a cap on the back of the truck, and I would take this down to like the fiddlers conventions. And I remember the first year I went to Galax, I was so happy I had it because it rains really hard at Galax that year, and the whole entire field where the festival was at flooded, and it was like, it was above mud boot level. It was up to the knee. It was pretty crazy. And so, like, because I was in a pickup truck, I was able to stay above waterline, which was just fantastic because other people were like floating around in their tents like they were rafts. It's absolutely miserable, It's like a raft floating on a lake of stagnant water, and the only reason it hasn't flowed away yet is because it's like tied to a tent stake, like an anchor. Like I said, character building experiences. And the other thing too was that it turned out that this particular spot that they had the Fiddlers Convention at Galax had been a hog farm at one time. And the interesting thing was, like, there was a lot of parasites and, rich nutrients in the soil that activated when it flooded and it got warm. It's like the whole thing flooded, about 2 feet of water, and then the sun came out. And next thing I know, there was just all these like weird like worms and stuff like that. And I remember being at this kind of high spot that they, when the water receded a little bit, there was a camp that had like a little, hill to it that was high enough out of the water. People were sitting there jamming, but it had gotten so muddy that people were trying to control the mud, and they had somebody had just a bunch of cardboard. And so during the jam, people would just like throw down a piece of cardboard, but then it would compost down like within 15, 20 minutes, It's like every couple of songs you just throw another piece of cardboard down just to have like a place to sit. It's pretty funny. But that's all like leading up to this excuse why this banjo doesn't stay in tune. It's a really elaborate ruse. And I bought this banjo at Galax, Virginia for $100. It wasn't good then. It's not good now. But it's the only banjo I have. And I'm going to try to keep it in tune for this next tune. But I found out later on that this banjo is from 1865. And it was... and it was funny back then, like, they thought the quality, the sign of a quality banjo, or like the marketing at least, was that however many brackets you had, that's how good the banjo was. So you can see here, they just put a ton of brackets on it to make people think that it was good. But what's happened is there's just too many and they just fall off now. So, I don't know. This is going to be the quest here. It's not terrible. Definitely not in tune, but I'm not smart enough to figure out why it's not in tune. So. Cool. Well, this song is called Little Birdie, and this one comes from Eastern Kentucky. I spent some time over there for a while. And they let me in, but I was considered an outsider because I was from West Virginia. They let me in for a while, and I got to learn some of their music. And this is one of the tunes called Little Birdie. It's in this really weird banjo tuning, but I'm trying to make it work. I used to be a little bitty boy, playing around in the sand. Now I am a great big boy, and I call myself a man. Oh, little birdie, what makes you fly so high? Me and my true love were with you, and we live up in the sky. Oh, little birdie, what makes your wings so blue? I've been all around this wide world, and I love no one but you. Oh, single girl, will go on strolling by. Yeah, married girl, oh, married girl. Oh, don't you hang your head and cry, 'cause little birdie, what makes your wings so blue? I've been all around this wide world, and I love no one but you. When I was a little bitty boy, now all I wanted was a knife. Well, now I am a great big boy, and all I want is a wife. Oh, little birdie, little birdie. Oh, where you been so long? I ain't had no good loving since that you've been gone. How I wish I was in Tennessee, just sitting on a rail, my arms around my true love's neck, and a possum by the tail. Oh, little birdie, where you been so long? I ain't had no good loving since that you've been gone. Thanks. I'm gonna preemptively tune this banjo, because these things are cantankerous. Ooh, ooh. Oh yeah. Think we can make it? Guard your eyes, front row. That's actually the reason they set you 10 foot back. Somebody got blinded at a concert last year on the front row. A mandolin string snapped. blinded local boy. Just kidding. Morgan was threatening when she came out here to tell some stories about me, which I wish she would have done, including the ultimate story, the wedding fiasco, where the bridesmaid got supremely drunk and then decided to give a speech at the toast where, amongst other things, she said that she didn't like my wife, the bride, and that me and this woman, the bridesmaid, had slept together. So, amongst the most embarrassing things in my life, that was probably one of them. It's never a good scene when the bridesmaid comes up at your wedding and says in front of your wife that you'd slept together. It's not cool. But alcohol makes people do funny things. Like not wear a mask in public. That was hilarious. There was also the time that Harper's Ferry, I got in trouble with the mayor because I thought that I was running a brothel because I had too many women living at my house, including said bridesmaid and and Morgan's sister. The mayor came over, he lived across the street, and he come over, he said, "You have to shut this down." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "The brothel." Like, good Lord. I thought I was helping people out. Bunch of single ladies that needed affordable housing. Man, was I ahead of my time. He tried to shut us down. The mayor of Harper's Ferry tried to shut my brothel down, but he was unsuccessful. About as successful as Trump getting the re-election. Sorry, bud. I love that Tiny Desk concert he gave on Thanksgiving. It's pretty funny because, I don't know if you probably know, listen to NPR, and they have the Tiny Desk concerts, which is like an incredible place to discover new music. But now I can't search Tiny Desk anymore on Google because Trump pops up. I think it'd be awesome to get like a Tiny Desk concert with Trump. I don't know if he can sing or rap or anything, but maybe get like some cameos, get some of his buddies in there. And isn't he buddies with Kanye? I think Kanye tried to run for president too, didn't he? I'd totally vote for him. I got to go to the Grammys in 2014, which was super cool. And we can talk about that whole experience and what led me there is an interesting story. But the really cool thing was Kanye was there too. And I actually saw him march up on stage to try to take the Grammy away from Beck. And then he just turned around and walked back. He never like went up there and grabbed it or anything, which I thought was a real cop-out. It's like, come on, man, if you're gonna march up onto the stage of the Grammys, you like gotta like grab it and like at least try to wrestle it away from the guy. You're like, man. All right. I'll play another banjo tune since I had the tune 20 minutes just to play for 2. I went down to the West Virginia State musician contest one time, and I got to play this tune there, and actually won the banjo contest in West Virginia that year. Yeah. Don't worry, all the other competitors were drunk, so it wasn't. You'll see here. It wasn't because the song was that great. But this is a really cool tune. It's called "Devil in the Woodpile." It's a great West Virginia banjo tune. Thank you. It was Devil in the Woodpile by Melvin Wine. Well, I guess I should play some fiddle. It's a pretty cool introduction on the fiddle. I started playing fiddle. I started when I was like 23. I went down to Galax and saw some people playing fiddle down there. Was really exposed to it that summer, going to Galax and Cliff Top and Maury River, a couple different fiddlers conventions I went to. And I just love the fiddle, especially old-time music. I was kind of into bluegrass at first, and then I heard about old-time music and didn't really know what that meant or what it was. And then I realized it was this older form of traditional Appalachian music, predated bluegrass. And I really got into the fiddle style. But I was like 23 years old, and everybody that I was around was really incredible, and it seemed like everybody had started really young, and I was around like Suzuki kids and things like that. And I was thinking, well, you have to be like 2 years old to start playing the fiddle, to like be raised with it in your hand to be able to play it, because it's such an incredibly finicky, difficult instrument to play. And so I was really, I really loved the fiddle, but I was really hesitant to try to learn it because I was so scared that I couldn't do this thing that I really fell in love with. So when I did start to learn, I really dedicated myself to trying to learn how to play, and it was during that time where I think people started to people thought that I was a lot better than I was because I was progressing so fast, but it's because I was going home and like playing for 8 hours with cotton balls in my ears. There's in fact like a really funny story about there's this banjo player down in Elkins, West Virginia, and he's a pretty young guy. He's probably in his 30s, late 30s now, and Andy Fitzgibbons, he was just always like known as the go-to clawhammer banjo player in Elkins, West Virginia. But what nobody knew is that he had been secretly learning fiddle for 10 years. And then one day he just came to one of the jams, and instead of his banjo, he brought the fiddle. But the most incredible thing about it was like nobody knew that he ever played fiddle. Like it was just like he like came out of the closet as a fiddle player, but like fully formed. Just incredible, just like demolished everybody. Just, people that had been playing fiddle, in bands where he was playing banjo, just like blew him out of the water. It was just incredible. But anyways, I dedicated many, many years during that time to learning to play the fiddle, and I got pretty close. I got close enough to play old-time fiddle, and I actually studied for a while. I took lessons over at the Winchester, the Shenandoah Conservatory. But I was like 23 and everybody else in my class was 6. It's real awkward. There's those sacrifices I made early on. So let me see if I can get this thing going. Hear that? Anybody know what that is? Rattlesnake rattle. It's an important part of Appalachian fiddling. All right. This might be a little rough on the takeoff, but let me see if I can get this thing going. I'll start with something real crusty and weird, so you won't be able to tell how out of practice I am. This one's a really interesting tune from West Virginia. It's called "You Piney Mountain," and it's a real prominent tune in West Virginia, but it's unlike much other fiddle music because it's really weird and dark and what they call modal, which means it's not in the standard major scale, and it's also drops beats and does weird things too. So pretty cool tune. I'll give it a try here. It's one of those tunes you can't tap your foot to for too long. All right. Cool music, isn't it? Lonesome and dark. But there's a flip side to every coin. I don't know if y'all heard about this new book that came out, Poisoner in Chief, about Sidney Gottlieb, who actually had lived in a cabin in Culpeper, Virginia on 18 acres, had an organic garden, milked goats, was into folk dancing, and was also headed up the MK Ultra mind control program for the CIA. And it turned out that the CIA in the 1950s bought the world's supply of LSD because they thought that it was the Soviets had learned how to brainwash people, and that if the United States didn't figure out how to do it, that we were going to fall behind in the Cold War. So there was this program called MK Ultra, which the CIA had for about 13 years, where they tried to figure out a way to erase somebody's mind and replace it with something else, to turn them into maybe an assassin that would do some horrible deed and then forget about it. And they took LSD and they used it to try to change people, which is very interesting. I think some of those first people that took LSD probably had pretty bad trips being in a CIA prison and tortured and tried to be brainwashed. But the interesting thing that came out of it was, it turned out the CIA was who was responsible for releasing LSD in the United States. All of the so-called experiments that Timothy Leary and other people were to go on to do, that were funded as medical research into psychology, all turned out to be fronts for the CIA, which was very interesting. So it started out as this horrible thing, trying to brainwash people, and then, of course, the thing that the CIA was trying to guard was this American way of life, and inadvertently they released this drug into American society that turned everything on its head. So, very interesting book. And the interesting thing is that he didn't live too far away from here. So, the flip side of that, I'll play a dance tune from West Virginia, and then we can play. We can take a little break and take our masks off, get some fresh air. And this one's called Jimmy Johnson. Thank you. I just want to say how grateful I am to Barnes of Rose Hill for having me, and to all of you for showing up. It's just so amazing that you're still supporting the venue, still supporting live music. So thank you so much for coming out. And let's get a mask break, get some fresh air, and then if you're up for it, you want to hear one more set. All right, let's do it. Cool. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that fresh air. Sorry, I'm not wearing my mask right now. Told me I was special and I didn't have to wear it. All right, I'll play this little song here, and then I'll tell you a hilarious story about it too. Won't you tell me he no story? Don't you tell me he no lie? Well, have you seen my little whippoorwill? Yeah, she lives up in the sky. I'm gonna lay down up in them tall trees on a mountain so high, so I can hear my little whippoorwill. Yeah, she goes flying by. My little whippoorwill, she sings for me. My little whippoorwill of Tennessee. Oh, little whippoorwill, sing me a song. It's a short while to be with you, and a long time to be gone. Float down the muddy river where the water is rushing high. I'm gonna build me a log cabin for my whippoorwill up in the sky. And deep down in the mountain where it's lonesome and blue, I'll cry out to my whippoorwill, yeah, love no one but you. My little whippoorwill, she sings for me. My little whippoorwill of Tennessee. My little whippoorwill, sing me your song. It's a short while to be with you, and a long time to be gone. My little whippoorwill, she sings for me. My little whippoorwill of Tennessee. Oh, little whippoorwill, sing me your song. It's a short while to be with you, and a long time to be gone. It's a short while to be with you, and a long time to be gone. It's a short while to be with you in a long time to be gone. Well, that song came into being just last year. I decided in the end of 2018 that I was going to take some time off from being an old Crow Medicine show and move back to West Virginia. Like I said, I grew up in Harpers Ferry, but I live now on a farm in Monroe County, about 4 hours south of here. And it was a really cool transition to step away from Nashville, where I've been living and working with the band for about 6 years, and get back to West Virginia and get back to the country. And it's a very interesting year, career-wise too. A lot of great highs and a lot of incredible lows. And the great thing about going into this COVID situation for me is that it's not any different than any other year of my life. It's just completely just up and down all the time. So the interesting thing was last year was that I went on a tour of Ireland for the first time. And everybody had been saying about how cool Ireland was. Of course, I love Irish music, and I was very excited to go to Ireland. And I thought it was going to be a great tour, but turned out to be an absolutely miserable tour. We had to crisscross across the country. You know, it only takes 4 hours to drive from one side of Ireland to the other, but we drove 4 hours every day. It's like bing, bang, boom, ding, 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 ding. Absolutely horrible routing. And then, of course, nobody came to the shows. You know, it's like, I think at one place there was like a weird like Irish Cracker Barrel. I like played in the corner of the gift store one day. And then we went to Galway, and we were really excited about this gig in Galway because I'd actually been interviewed for the Galway Times, and they put my face on like the front page of their magazine. And so I thought, well, that's a good sign, you know. There might be some people at this Cracker Barrel show. So I was really excited to play that Cracker Barrel in Galway. But so we showed up, and it was this famous venue called the Roys and Dove, which means the Black Rose in my butchered version of Gaelic. And we showed up, but you know, as a musician, over the years you gain experience, and you learn, you know, to look out for certain things. There's usually some telltale signs if a gig is going to go sideways. You know, the first warning flag is when you show up to the venue and they don't know that you were coming. It's always a good indicator that the show might not go that well. The other indicator is usually when they don't have a poster up in the venue of the show that you're playing. That's also a red flag, I've learned. And so they neither knew we were showing up nor had a poster up. And so he said, well, you know, and also the room was in the back. It was kind of like a pub in the front, and then the concert hall was in the back. So there's a little stone door that you went through back into the venue where I was playing. And so so that's also a problem too, especially if there's not like a poster and nobody knows that you're there. You used to like play a whole show in this back room while people were sitting at the bar and not even know that you were there. So I asked the guy who ran the venue if he would just be willing to, you know, make a little sign to put in the pub that let people know that I was playing in the back room. And he said, oh, so you want a sign, do you? I said, yeah, just Chance McCoy, €5, whatever, in the back room. He says, I'll go make something up right now. Goes into the back room, and have you ever printed out like a picture from the internet, and it's like the setting is fit to paper, so like it stretches the image? Well, he had like had that setting on it, and he found a picture of me on the internet, and he printed out, and it like took my head and it stretched it sideways like a football. So I look like Stewie from Family Guy. And then it was like Chance McCoy from West Virginia. I was like, oh man, you don't even know how deep this goes. It's horrible. And he goes, here's your tour poster. Hope the show goes well. And there was 2 people at the show that night, myself and the sound man. And then to make the matters worse, they kicked us off stage early to make way for the Van Morrison cover band, which sold the club out at 350 people. So that was a highlight of my Ireland experience. And they had, although the Van Morrison cover band was awesome, that was cool. Loved that. And then they had kind of accommodations upstairs, this kind of band accommodations, but you never know what you're going to get with band accommodations. That can be pretty messed up stuff. And this looked like it had seen better days. It's like the apartment floor was like sticky, and that night I went to bed and I woke up the next day and I'd been bitten all up by fleas. So I kind of had a moment of reflection, I guess. It's like, man, I really fucked up. I left this big famous band to go tour solo in Galway, Ireland, and 2 people showed up, including myself. It's like, maybe I made a mistake. And then I got a call on the telephone, like literally right after I thought that, I got a call on the telephone. And it was a film company from Hollywood, California. And they had heard this song and they wanted to put it in this film called Peanut Butter Falcon. And they wanted to use it in the trailer too. And they said, we've already actually got it in the film, we got it in the trailer, and we're ready to, make this thing happen. We just need to know how much you're going to charge us to use your song. So kind of stepped away from the phone for a minute and thought, how much am I going to charge these guys? I've never been asked this question before. So I came back to the phone. I'm like, $1 million? And the guy was like, oh yeah, of course, great. Just let us know where to send the money. So it was awesome because I had basically at that point I rented a helicopter which landed on the top of the venue, and then I flew off to my penthouse in Paris that I rented as a base of operations for the rest of the tour. Just flew by my helicopter to all the other gigs in Europe before flying home on my private plane. So that was good acid. That was good acid. That was some of that CIA stuff. Oh my. I gotta collect myself now. I gotta think of something to play. Let me see. If I had a needle and thread, fine as I could sew, I'd sew that pretty girl to my side, and down the road I'd go. Oh, down the road I go, my friends, down the road I go. I'd sew that pretty girl to my side, down the road I'd go. If I had a big fine horse, corn to feed him on, a pretty little girl to stay at home, feed him while I'm gone. Yeah, feed him while I'm gone, my friends, feed him while I'm gone. A pretty little child to stay at home, feed him while I'm gone. I'm gone, gone, I'm gone, gone, gone. If I was a June apple hanging on that tree, oh, every pretty girl that take a little bite of me. Yeah, she take a little bite of me, my friends, take a little bite of me. Every pretty girl that passed my way, she take a little bite of me. Yeah, if I had a needle and thread, fine as I could sew, I'd sew that pretty girl to my side. Down the road I'd go. Yeah, down the road I go, my friends. Down the road I'd go. I'd sew that pretty girl to my side. Down the road I'd go. Thank you. That reminded me of something that happened in Nashville a couple years ago. It was really, really funny. So my son, he's here with me tonight, and he's over in the guest house right now watching YouTube because he's a teenager and Dad's not cool anymore. But we've done some incredible trips together, and he plays music as well. We've shared some wonderful music together and some wonderful trips, and we went over to the UK a couple years ago and piggybacked onto an old Crow tour and had a father-son trip afterwards where we went and visited all the Led Zeppelin places in the UK, which was really fun. Stalked the remaining band members, which was really cool. I'd never stalked anybody before, so that was a first. I thought I'd start at the top with like a famous rock and roll person. So we got pretty close too. But something that really funny that happened before we left for the trip is there's a guitar repair shop in Nashville in this facility called Soundcheck, and Soundcheck's like this giant warehouse where all the bands and musicians and production companies in Nashville store all their equipment. So like when a big band like Brad Paisley goes on tour and they have 10 semi-trucks, they can just pull into this giant loading dock and they cross-load all their gear and then they go out on tour. But even bands like Old Crow Medicine Show store their equipment there. And because this facility is so popular in Nashville for touring bands, they have a bunch of businesses inside this kind of industrial warehouse area. And one of them's a repair shop. And I used to sometimes bring my guitars to get repaired there. And the guy named Lance owned it. But it was really funny because, when a band's on tour, like the roadies always mark the band's guitar cases with pieces of gaff tape. And they write, Old Crow or whoever the band is, or like Guitar One or whatever it is on the guitar case, so the roadies know what guitar case is what, and everybody knows who the instrument goes to and all that kind of stuff, like logistical side of touring. So what you end up with in this guitar repair shop in the middle of this sound check facility is all these guitars lined up in Lance's shop, but they all have famous pieces of gaff tape on them, on the cases with famous names, like, J. Taylor and, T. Swift and all this kind of stuff. See all these famous, E. Harris, Emmylou Harris, right? So it's all these pieces of gaff tape with all these famous names because, these are where these musicians operate out of, so they bring their guitars there to get repaired. So as a joke one day, I took pieces of gaff tape, and on all my guitars, I put pieces of gaff tape on it, and then with a Sharpie, I wrote fake names, like Hendrix, Clapton, and then on the guitar for the case for this guitar, I put J. Page for Jimmy Page. I thought it was just a fantastic joke. And so my joke was that I was going to go to Lance's shop, have him work on this guitar, and then leave it in the corner with this piece of gaff tape on it that said Jimmy Page, and have all these people coming in to get their guitars worked on. They're like, oh my God, it's Jimmy Page's guitar in the corner. Just as a practical joke, because I'm silly like that. And but the joke totally backfired on me because I went in there and it just so happened that I was about to go on a tour in Europe with a friend of mine who's named JP, right? So same initials. And this is where things get wacky. Is I was supposed to go on tour with JP. Now, I go into this guitar shop. I'm carrying this guitar case that says Jimmy Page on it, right? And I bring it in, and there's some guys in suits in the guitar store. And they have a Taylor guitar in the case. And these guys in suits, as soon as I walk in, I guess one of them, it catches his eye, So all of a sudden, this guy's thinking, oh my God, that's Jimmy Page's guitar. But I don't even realize it, right? And these guys in suits are like, hey, what you got there? What you got in that guitar case? And I was like, oh, just this old acoustic. I said, yeah, I'm about to fly to London to go on tour with JP right now. They're like, ooh, cool, can we see it? And I was like, yeah. And I popped open the case, and it was this guitar inside. And they're like, wow. Do you think, can we touch it? I was like, yeah, I mean, it's just an old guitar. It's really cool. I love it, but sure, it's a janky old Gibson guitar. And he's like, wow. So you're about to fly to London with this to go on tour with JP? And I was like, yeah. I didn't even connect in my mind that they thought the whole time I'm going to do a tour with Jimmy Page. So the funny thing was that these guys in suits turned out to be the president, the CEO of Taylor Guitars. And they were there with a prototype guitar, which was a new 12-string. And they're like, well, we'd be honored if you'd try this new Taylor 12-string prototype out. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'd love to do it. And then, of course, it was the first thing I played on the 12-string guitar. The first lick that I played, the forbidden lick. I was like, yeah, this is really cool. This is the new Taylor 12-string? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, and they're like, wow, so thrilled that you would have played this guitar. And I still wasn't in on my own effing joke at this point. I was just like, yeah, cool. It was really good to meet you guys. And then the guy handed me his card. It said, President of Taylor Guitars. And he was like, any guitar you ever want, man, just call me up. So I've gotten many, many free guitars from Taylor since then. Very excited to be sponsored by Taylor. So just keep on dreaming, keep on playing those practical jokes. Yeah, you never know what happens. It's pretty cool. Anyways, that's my little moment there. It's pretty fun. So yeah, now I'm sponsored by Taylor Guitars, which is awesome. And I did go on tour in the UK, and I did go to Jimmy Page's house, but he wasn't home. So next time I gotta time that better. Make sure he's there. Anyway, speaking of guitar, let's play some more guitar music. Anybody tuned by ear anymore? It's like a lost art, isn't it? I wrote this song kind of the last year I lived in Virginia, down in Floyd, before I moved to Nashville. Lord, I slept out in the lonesome pines. Lord, I slept, Lord, I slept, Lord, I slept in the lonesome pines now. Lord, I slept out in the lonesome pines. I was all night wishing that you were mine. I was all night wishing that you were mine. Lord, I slept where the cold wind blows. Lord, I slept, Lord, I slept, Lord, I slept where the cold wind blows down. Lord, I slept out where the cold wind blows. And I never felt so alone. Yeah, I never felt so alone. Cause I've been where where the stars won't shine. Lord, I've been, Lord, I've been, Lord, I've been where the stars won't shine now. Lord, I've been out where the stars won't shine. Yeah, the only thing to hold me was my worried mind. Yeah, slipped out in the lonesome pines. I was all night wishing that you were mine, 'cause I slipped out in the lonesome pine. I learned to play banjo from one of the women who stayed at my brothel for a while. This is so old-timey, like Wyatt Earp. Now there's a very amazing, young, talented woman who Morgan and Dave and I got to play with for a while too, named Becky Wodarski. And she taught me how to play clawhammer banjo. I was really lucky to learn most of my music from other people. It's like right before the YouTube age, which has become such an incredible tool that it's kind of, in some ways, changed the way people learn things. Old Reuben had a train run from England to Spain, and he couldn't get no letter from his home. It's all Lord he made, and it's all Lord he made. He couldn't get no letter from his home. If you don't believe he's gone, Just watch this train that he's on. 500 miles from his home. He's 500 miles from his wife and his child. Don't he wish she was 500 more? Don't he wish she was 500 more? Don't he wish she was 500 more? Old Reuben had a wreck, and he broke that poor boy's neck. Oh, Lordy me, Lordy my. He's 500 miles from his wife and his child. Don't he wish he was 500 more? Old Reuben had a trade. He run from England to Spain, but he couldn't get no letter from his home. And it's so Lordy me, it's so Lordy mine. He couldn't get no letter from his home. He couldn't get no letter from his home. He couldn't get no letter from his home. Hope you're enjoying the concert. Thank you. Because I'm just totally making it up as I go. Any requests out there? Keeping it real. That's right. I got my hiking boots on. Doesn't get more real than that. It's because I hitchhiked up here. So freaking real. Actually going to go hiking in Harper's Ferry tomorrow. Should be a good time. Heard Fiddlin' Dave's down there busking tomorrow on the streets. Is that right? Sweet. They actually passed a law against me playing in Harper's Ferry while I lived there. And didn't have a very good reputation after the brothel closed down. So I met this dude that owned a piece of property, Dave Corder, and he let me play on the back of his property, which was awesome because it was private property. As long as I didn't step into the road, it's completely legal. So they couldn't shut Chance McCoy down that easily.
That law still stands because of you.
I know. Is Dave playing at Chris Corder's? Yeah. Sorry, I said Dave Corder. Chris Corder. That's messed up, isn't it? Yeah. Well, sorry about that. Did a lot of things wrong. Yeah, you can't have brothels anymore in Harper's Ferry too, which is part of the legacy I left behind. Oh, it was great living there. It's kind of the tail end of, well, I mean, Harper's Ferry will always be a really interesting place. The energy there is just so unique. But there was definitely like a funky time coming out of the 80s where Harper's Ferry was still a little queer, if you know what I mean. A little strange river folk going down there. I remember my mom had a stalker. He would walk around our house at night in circles. That was kind of weird. I don't think that figures into a lot of people's childhoods, but we also had this great game. So I got arrested when I was 13 for breaking and entering into the Mather Training Center, which was federal property. And it wasn't actually my fault, but I was with some people that did it. So I went down as fall guy from proxy. So I learned at that point to, whenever I broke the law, just to not get caught. So tell me a valuable lesson early on. It's just don't get caught. So a way that I would train myself for future illegal activity is I had this really fun game called Headlights. Anybody ever hear this game, Headlights? So what you do is they also, because of me and my friends, they implemented a curfew in Harper's Ferry, which I'm also sorry to say is part of the lasting legacy Chance McCoy left behind, so that there's a curfew now that you can't be out after dark if you're under 18. So we invented this really great game after they passed that curfew law called Headlights. And the way you play Headlights is you go out after dark when you're not supposed to be on the street, and you stand in the middle of the road waiting for a park ranger to come. And the rule is you can't run until the headlights touch your body. So you got to make sure that they see you first. So that was a really fun game we used to play called Headlights. The Rangers loved it. Gave them something to do before 9/11, you know. Then they just had empty paranoia down there, but we gave them something to really worry about. Well, I want to say really worry about it. It was a fun game. They liked it. They liked to play it. They never caught us, which was awesome, because as kids, we would do anything to get away. Crawl through sewer manholes, run headfirst into briars, you know, crawl on our bellies through patches of poison ivy, whatever it took. One of our favorite gimmicks was to lure the unsuspecting park ranger into a waist-high patch of nettles. A lot of good times. Miss it. Yeah, but I always thought it was a mistake outlawing me from playing in town and all future musicians, because, you know, the first year I ever got to be a professional musician was by busking on the street in Harper's Ferry. And that's responsible for giving me the basis of, you know, the rest of my musical journey. So it's sad that they didn't, you know, people don't support that kind of stuff. Because, you know, the rabble-rousers of today are the Grammy winners of tomorrow, as it were. So. I don't know, maybe tomorrow I'll go down and play in the streets until I get arrested. I've been in need of some press lately, so. I'll play a little medley of tunes, see if I can get this thing whipped into shape. This is a really cool tuning from West Virginia called Dead Man's Tuning. And nobody knows why it was created or where it came from, because it's only in a few areas of Appalachia that this fiddle tuning exists, and there's some really great fiddle tunes in it, but some people think it's to mimic the sound of bagpipes. you can totally hear that down there. And there's not many airs in traditional Appalachian music. I think people really just focused on the fast dance tunes and lost some of the slower ballads and stuff. But there are a couple that still exist. And this is one called Queen of the Earth, Child of the Skies. And this is a really beautiful tune, played in this tuning. And some people think this is called Dead Man's Tuning because this tune, in this tuning, is traditionally played at somebody's funeral. So, give this a go. And then I'm going to medley into a couple other tunes, Washington's March, and then let's see if I can get up all the way up to speed. I'll get to yelling in the shows. Had to take my hat off after that. Well, we got time for one more. You want to hear? Cool. Thought I'd play this song. People ask me if I hate this song because I had to play it every night for 7 years. And that's an interesting question, really. Because I did hate this song. For a long time, I hated this song. Because I was just absolutely jealous of how popular this song was. And the band that wrote this song, first time I ever heard him play, I'd started this little string band called Old Sledge. And it was an incredible band. Went on some amazing trips. Had some debaucherous times, including a naked square dance outside Kalamazoo, Michigan, in a lake. It's a highlight of one of the highlights of my musical life. And this band, Old Sledge, we went and we got booked for Floyd Fest for the first time ever. We were really excited about it. And then we had a horrible sound check. And it went on for way too long, and we were in this little dance tent beside the main stage, or maybe like across the field from the main stage. And the sound check went on so long, it was so bad, that by the time we went to play our first note as a band, the next band on the main stage came on. And it was Old Crow Medicine Show, and they were headlining the festival. And as soon as their PA turned on, I couldn't hear a single note. And everybody ran out of the tent and flocked towards the main stage. And I thought, those sons of bitches. Them and their popular songs. And so that band broke up, and then I went back to my cabin I was living in to sulk for half a year and be pissed off. And no, I wasn't actually that mad about it. But I did take it as a moment to think about what I was going to do musically, because I was like, why ever play fiddle music as long as this band is around? Everybody's going to think I'm going to be a copycat of them, and then I'm just going to have to hear drunk girls screaming wagon wheel at every show that I play for the rest of my life. And little did I know, by a twist of fate, I would hear drunk girls screaming wagon wheel at me every show for the rest of my life. And people thought that would make me hate this song because I had to play it every night, but I don't at all. I learned to love it, and I learned to let go of that resentment and that jealousy and just realize what a beautiful piece of music it is, and it's actually a love song, which is incredible. And people said, well, didn't you get tired of playing it every night? And I said, not to 10,000 screaming fans, I didn't. That was all right. It's like playing an ace in a card game, you know. Do you get sick of that? Oh, dang it, I got to play the ace again. But I decided when I went out, I was like, I didn't play this song for a while because I thought, that's just like a cheap trick. But then I realized I need to play this song because it's a part of my life now, and I need to make it my own. So I came up with this version. I'm headed down south to the land of the pines, thumbing my way down to North Carolina. Staring up the road, I pray to God I see headlights. Well, I made it down the coast in 17 hours, picking me a bouquet of dogwood flowers, and I'm hoping for Raleigh I can see my baby tonight. So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, mama, rock me. Yeah, rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, mama, rock me. I was running from the cold up in New England. I was born to be a fiddler in an old-timey string band. My baby plays a guitar, I pick a banjo now. Well, the North Country winters keep getting me. I lost my money playing poker, so I had to up and leave. But I ain't a turning back to living that old life no more. So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, mama, rock me. Yeah, rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, mama, rock me. I was walking to the south, out of Roanoke. Caught a trucker at a field, he had a nice long toque. He's headed west from the Cumberland Gap to Johnson City, Tennessee. And I gotta get my move on, wait for the sun. Hear my baby calling my name, and I know that she's the only one. And if I die in Raleigh, at least I will die free. So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, mama, rock me. Yeah, rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, mama, rock me. So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, mama, rock me. Yeah, rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, mama, rock me. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you to Nathan and Christian for on the sound. Thank you to Morgan Morrison for having me. Thank you to Barnes Rose Hill, and thank you to all you for coming out. Thank you.
think you could play in a symphony orchestra?
Me?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if I dedicate.